Minecraft speedrunning. It's been pretty popular lately, and it's always been a subject that interests me personally. The way these speedruns are done in 1.16 means a whole lot of RNG. A lot of people think too much. This means that for one thing, the skill gap is smaller, and for another thing, this category has the potential to produce far lower times than the others. In this video, we're going to theorize about a 1.16 speedrun with near-perfect RNG and near-perfect execution. We're going to estimate how low the time could get, and just how rare would a seed that allows for that time be. If you want to find the answers to these questions, be sure to watch to the end of the video. To find these answers, we also got some help from 1.16 random seed world record holder NiceTwice. So with that goal in mind, let's get into it. And really quick before we get into it, I just want to point out that only a very small percentage of our viewers are actually subscribed right now, so if you end up enjoying the video, please consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to us. We always appreciate it. We're trying to get to 100 subs, so with that in mind, let's get into the video. I'm going to take some time to provide context for the current state of Minecraft speedrunning, so if you're already familiar with the recent changes and developments, skip to this time. In the world of Minecraft speedrunning, there are two main categories, set seed and random seed. Random seed is the more popular category because there's more luck involved, meaning the runs are generally less optimized. Within the random seed category, there are three subcategories, pre 1.9, 1.9 through 1.15, and 1.16 plus. For a long time, pre 1.9 was the fastest, for a few reasons. The strongholds generated faster, the PvE was faster, and some other details. However, in modern versions of Minecraft, there's a much quicker way to get the majority of the materials you need. Villager trading. In 1.14, which quickly became the meta for 1.9 through 1.15, players would trade sticks to villagers for emeralds, and trade those emeralds for ender pearls. They could also acquire a bow and arrows through trading, and best of all, villages now generated with hay bales, which could be made into large amounts of bread. This meant no killing animals for food, no killing chickens for feathers, and no killing sheep for wool, as a village being necessary meant it was best to just get beds at the village. Still, pre 1.9 was faster, and more popular to run for players who grew up with the older versions of the game. In April and May of 2020, however, 1.9 through 1.15 began to grow in popularity again, and the time eventually became lowered past the best pre 1.9 time. But what was about to happen was even more significant. Minecraft version 1.16, the Nether update. The Nether update was the definition of a game changer for Minecraft random seed speedruns. There are plenty of small things that changed in the speedrun, but the overall effect was this, a massive increase in RNG. You see, in 1.15 they had nerfed villager trading, meaning getting pearls through this method was no longer viable for a good time. No problem, players could just play 1.14. But 1.16 introduced a new method of acquiring ender pearls, trading with piglins. If you give piglins gold, they can give you a variety of items, including somewhere from 4 to 8 ender pearls. It's rare that they drop, and it often takes a long time to get the pearls needed, so much so that a large amount of otherwise strong runs die on the trading section of the run. This doesn't eliminate the need for a village, however. You still need it for beds, food, and arrows. This is just an entirely new element of RNG added onto the run. But possibly the most annoying change for runners, however, is the new rarity of nether fortresses. The Nether update added several new biomes to the Nether, which is really cool, but it means there's far less area for nether fortresses to spawn in. In 1.14, if you made it to the Nether, you had a pretty good chance of finding a fortress and keeping a good pace. In 1.16, you'll be unable to find a fortress far more often than not. In general, you get the idea. It takes way more luck to have a good run in 1.16, in a category which was already very RNG based. But, as we said earlier, 1.16 also has the greatest potential for faster runs of any category yet, and that brings us to our theoretical run. For inspiration, we're going to be looking not at the current 1.16 record, but at the 1.15 world record, and here's why. On June 10th, Dream got the 1.9 through 1.15 random seed glitchless world record with a time of 22 minutes and 3 seconds. Yes! Yes! What made this run special was his use of a looting 3 book he found in a desert temple to get quicker drops on blaze rods and ender pearls. This completely eliminated the need to trade with villagers for ender pearls, which was the commonly used strategy for this category. Some would say that this revolutionized speedrunning. In reality, this strategy had been discussed for a long time on the Minecraft speedrunning Discord, as well as other speedrunning forums and sites. However, because of the insane rarity of finding a looting 3 book and having a good seed in all the other necessary ways, it was generally treated like more of a meme than a legit strategy. Ironically, TNT strats, where you collect TNT from a desert temple and use it to collect wood or blocks more quickly, were also treated as a meme, until they were implemented. and now they're necessary to get a good run on 1.14. Regardless, Dream got the record with these strats, which lasted until 1.16 came out, and NiceTwice took the record with a 21-minute 8-second run on July 3rd. The notable thing about this run was the insanely good nether, which took about 5 minutes and 30 seconds, which is insanely low considering how he got both the blaze rods and the pearls in the nether. Since then, an even faster run has happened, a 19-minute 42-second run by the Sizzler. The nether in that one specifically wasn't quite as insane, but obviously it was a faster run overall, mostly due to a faster end. But how would a really strong 1.16 run work together with Dream's looting run in 1.15? The whole point of the looting is to skip the villager trading, which isn't even used in 1.16. Well, there is an incredibly rare set of conditions for a seed that could create what is potentially the lowest possible time for a 1.16 plus random seed run. We're going to estimate how long this perfect run would be, and how rarely a speedrunner would even be able to attempt it. On my analysis video of BenX's 1.16 world record from a couple months ago, which has obviously since been broken, I got this comment talking about a run in which the commenter found a looting 3 gold sword in a broken portal chest. In Dream's run, he found a looting 3 book, which meant he had to mine and smelt 31 iron to make an anvil, which took him almost 5 extra minutes. So, if we take 5 minutes off of Dream's run, that's almost sub 17. There are other small improvements that could be made over Dream's run, such as a closer blaze spawner, better pearl drop rates, and a quicker end. Something to note is that it would be necessary to attack endermen and blazes with an unenchanted weapon and get the final hit with a sword, due to the low durability of a gold sword. In Dream's run, he kills endermen and skeletons on the way to the stronghold for pearls and arrows. However, a quicker way to obtain pearls would be to kill endermen in the warped forest in the nether, where they spawn even more commonly than in deserts. Because of the much faster pace of this run, there would be less skeletons to kill because the trip to the stronghold wouldn't be taking place completely at night. If there was also a soul sand valley where skeletons spawn very commonly, arrows could also be acquired in the nether, meaning once the runner left the nether, they could go straight to the stronghold. Assuming a slightly closer blaze spawner, somewhat better drop rates with the endermen, as well as more endermen spawning, and a quicker trip to the stronghold, that could mean about an additional minute of time saved over Dream's run. The last element is the end, which in Dream's run takes a little under 4 minutes. A perfect end would be under 2 minutes, but if we assume merely a fast end at about 3 minutes, that's an additional minute saved from Dream's run. This is crude math, but I feel confident in saying that with perfect RNG and a looting 3 sword, a sub 15 minute random seed run is possible on 1.16. I think the odds are stacked against this ever actually happening, although it's possible a looting run will take the record on 1.16 at some point. If this were to happen, it's likely that a few minor things went wrong and there was no sub 15, but I don't think it's impossible, just highly improbable. Let's try and see just how improbable this theoretical run would really be. The first thing we want in this run is a village and a broken portal within about 30 seconds of spawn and each other. Additionally, the village cannot be in a taiga or a snow biome. The village has to have enough wheaten beds, as well as an iron golem for getting a bucket. The ruined portal has to have no crying obsidian and have a flint and steel or fire charge in the chest. Obviously, the chest would also need to have the looting 3 sword. In the nether, you would want a fortress and a warped forest biome both within about 30 seconds of the portal. You would want a blaze spawner within about 30 seconds of entering the fortress. You want to have to fight no more than about 8 endermen and 8 blazes, which is half the durability of the sword, as long as you only get the last hit with the sword. If we're assuming this is a perfect run, you would also want a stronghold no more than 1500 blocks away when you leave the nether. There's very little RNG left in the run, although a higher stronghold Y level wise would be ideal. You would want a dragon fight around 3 minutes or less, and with that, you would have probably the closest thing to a perfect random seed run there will ever be, barring major changes in coming updates. But just how unlikely is this? We made a list of all the RNG based conditions for this run to happen, and for some of the conditions we are able to calculate the odds fairly easily. For example, the odds that a looting 3 gold sword would spawn in a broken portal chest. For other things, such as finding a village within 30 seconds, there is no numerical definition we could find online for exactly how often this happens. So we reached out to NiceTwice, the current 1.16 random seed world record holder and a very experienced speedrunner. He estimated for us how often these other conditions happened in runs, and from that, we were able to calculate a general probability that all the conditions for this near perfect run would be met. If you're not interested in hearing all the math that went into it, and just want to know the final probability, you can skip to this time. First, let's look at the conditions NiceTwice was able to help us with. For finding a village in the first 30 to 60 seconds, his response combined with our knowledge from speedrunning ourselves led us to estimate that about 1 in 7 runs would have this. For a broken portal relatively close to the village, we also estimated about 1 in 7. These estimates aren't exact, but they're about as precise as we can be. According to NiceTwice, 9 out of 10 villages will have enough beds and hay to complete the run. He also said that the fortress is where things become really rare. NiceTwice told us that he has had a 5-hour stream where he only found 2 fortresses. Assuming runs last about 2 minutes on average when you factor in all the runs that die immediately, that's about 150 runs in 5 hours. Assuming he makes it to the nether on about a fifth of these runs, that's 30 nethers with only 2 fortresses. Because he brings this up as an extreme case of not finding fortresses, we can raise the odds from about 1 in 15 to about 1 in 12. Also, finding a warped forest that is easily accessible and nearby is not nearly as hard as finding a fortress in the first place, but the fortress would have to be close to the edge of its biome, and for an optimal setup, we can give it about a 1 in 10 chance. Our last condition we asked NiceTwice about was the odds of having an end fight under 3 minutes, and he said that if you're experienced with end fights, you'll achieve this about 80% of the time. The odds are looking low at this point, but we haven't even addressed the rarest conditions, so it's time to add even more improbabilities. When it comes to finding a viable ruined portal, the math gets really specific. To start it off, there are 13 different ways ruined portals can generate, assuming they generate cleanly. 7 of these generations have enough lava to make a portal from scratch. The remaining generations are 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Portal 4 can be completed with the lava that generates at the ruined portal, but the other 5 require obsidian to also spawn in the chest. The exception is Portal 5, which couldn't be completed even with 2 obsidian spawning, which is the most that can spawn in these chests. From here, we calculated the odds of each of these portals generating and being possible to complete. For an example of how our process went, here's what we calculated for Portal 1. There's a 1 in 13 chance that it generates, a 23.2% chance that there are 2 obsidian in the chest, and 8 obsidian, which each have a 15% chance to be crying obsidian. Here's our final calculations for all the generations. If we take the already 7 in 13 chance that there's enough lava to make a portal from scratch, and combine it with the odds of each of these portals generating optimally, then we have a 58.7894% chance that the portal will generate in an optimal way. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Next, we need to factor in the chances of looting 3 sword generating in a chest. This is pretty straightforward. There's a 20.5% chance that an enchanted gold sword generates in a ruined portal chest, and there are 30 different enchantments it can have, when you take into account the different levels of enchantments. This means that there is a 0.683 repeating percent chance that a looting 3 gold sword will generate in a ruined portal chest. There also needs to be either a flint and steel or a fire charge in the chest. They each have a 46.4% chance of generating, so the chance that at least one of them generates is 71.3%. At this point, there are only 3 conditions left, and we don't have very specific answers for 2 of them. The first condition is that it only takes 12 kills to obtain 12 pearls and 6 blaze rods. The odds are clearly in favor of this, but it's hard to be specific, so we're going to estimate the odds of this at around 75%. Our next condition is that you find enough skeletons before getting to the end. You'll get an average of 3 arrows per skeleton, so you'd have to kill about 10 skeletons. This assumes you either find a soul sand valley, or you find enough skeletons in the fortress and on the way to the stronghold. The odds of this aren't amazing, but they're not too low either. As a very vague estimate, we put the odds at around 50%. It should be noted that even if you get less arrows than this, the run can be saved by one-cycling the dragon without breaking all of the crystals, as is implemented in the Sizzler's former world record on 1.16. The final condition we can be more specific on: the odds that your Eyes of Ender don't break on the way to the stronghold. An experienced runner needs 3 eyes to locate the stronghold, and they each have a 1 out of 10 chance of breaking, so the odds that none of them break are 72.9%. It's been a long journey, but we finally have all the odds we need to estimate the rarity of this near-perfect run. Here's all the variables, and our final odds come out to a 0.0000095872% chance, which is roughly 1 in 10,430,574. Which, to be fair, is about 100,000 times more likely than finding a 12-eyed nether portal on a random seed, so there's that. With all that said and done, thanks for watching the video, and hopefully you enjoyed our theoretical speedrunning discussion. Remember to show your support on the video if you enjoyed, and let us know down in the comments what you thought of the video and what else you want to see from this channel. That's about it for this one, so we'll see you next time.